Hello, I'm Jake Norwood of Capital Kunstfestens and Maryland Kunstfestens, your hosts for Longpoint 2014. This video briefly examines the rules used in the Longsword tournaments and Messer tournament and Singlestick tournament for Longpoint this year. These are based on the Longpoint 2012 and 2013 rules. It's an evolution of those rules. Why we did things the way that we did comes down to a number of discussions that started in 2012, some ideas thrown around in a notepad in a car, and eventually led to an approach to tournaments, which is how do we get the rules to work for us? How do we say that gaming the rules is actually a virtue and not a vice? That's what we're going to get to here, and you'll see that also in the full edition of the Longpoint rules, which I expect that you'll read, as all competitors are expected to. There's a number of changes we've made to the rules since last year, since the 2013 edition. The primary changes have been either to streamline the process, to give fighters a little more time to fight. In other words, we've killed the one-shot, one-kill rule. And the major thing that you're going to see different when you get to Longpoint this year is that instead of having 3 judges who are watching all fighters, we have 2 judges watching each fighter for a total of 4 judges plus a head judge. We'll talk about all that further in. Let's talk about staff. First off, I want to talk about the table staff. There's 2 of them, scorekeeper and a timekeeper. Sometimes they've got a 3rd helper. Don't talk to my table staff, ever. You'll be penalized or disqualified. They have an important job, and it's hard enough as it is trying to keep track of points, time, etc., without somebody interrupting them. So please don't talk to them at all, and if you do, you will be warned or penalized. The guy that you do get to talk to is the ring boss. In a lot of events, he's called the tournament manager. His job is to make sure that fighters get where they need to be, that judges are taken care of, that matters are handled. So if you have an issue and you're a fighter, a coach, or even a bystander, talk to the ring boss and nobody else. Let's talk about the judging staff. The first and perhaps most important member of the judging staff is the head judge. Previously, this was the referee, sometimes referred to as the director of the fight. In addition to basic safety and referee duties, the head judge now has a role in deciding what happened within the fight and aggregates the decisions and votes made by the other judges. One of the major changes this year is in the judges. As I mentioned before, we used to have 3 judges. Now we have 2 judges for each fighter for a total of 4 line judges. 2 watching red, 2 watching blue. This reduces the load on the judges, allows them to focus more on individual hits, and keeps them fresher so that they don't get tired quite as quickly and keeps the quality of judging better longer. As with the table staff, no one in the event, coaches, fighters, etc., are to ever address the judges at any time, except through the head judge if you are a fighter, or through the ring boss if you're anyone else. So as a fighter, what can you expect when you've landed a hit or you've been hit? This is the basic scoring process. Once you've hit your opponent and or your opponent has hit you, the judge that sees it will call point. The head judge will allow a moment for an afterblow and then we'll call halt. After halt, no scores, no hits will be counted. As fighters, you should separate and return to your corners in the ring. The judge will then poll, the head judge will then poll all of the line judges and will announce the scores to the scorekeeper, who will do the final calculation and update the scoreboard. Now when point is called and then the head judge calls halt, he's going to poll each judge individually, starting with 2 judges of one color and then 2 judges of the other. So we'll look, you'll say red judge, a red judge will show one of the following semaphores. Then we'll look at the other judge, red judge, show those semaphores. The head judge will then choose between those 2 which is higher and will report those point values to the scorekeeper unless he needs to make a different call. Then he'll go to the second color, blue judge, and report back to the scorekeeper. The semaphores used will now follow. If 2 judges, the 2 red judges for example, disagree on what to award the red fighter, generally the higher point value will be awarded. That means that it only takes 1 judge seeing something in order to receive points for it, and you'll generally be scored for the better thing unless the head judge disagrees. At the end of an exchange, it's possible that the red judges will award a certain number of points to the red fighter and the blue judges will award a certain number of points to the blue fighter. Those points are then weighed against each other. If red achieves 4 points and blue achieved 2 points, both scores will be called to the scorekeeper. The scorekeeper will then perform the math and will call out how many points actually go to the higher fighter. In this case, red will get a net 2 points. Double blows are always a controversial topic within HEMA tournaments. The way that we're approaching them here is that in most cases, if a double hit happens in a situation where either fighter is attempting to defend himself at some point and doesn't, it's not actually a double hit. That would be an afterblow situation where perhaps both fighters will get points and they'll be differentiated as before. But if both fighters rush in, swing at each other with no sense of defense, this is called a double without defense. And as with other tournaments, you get 3 of these, you're going to lose the match, or in the case of the eliminations, go forward with a penalty. The head judge, as the head judge, can overrule other judges, make calls relatively independently if necessary, and this applies to doubles without defense, to scoring blows, and so on. For the most part, this shouldn't be the case. The head judge will use the input from the other judges. But on occasion, the head judge has such a view that is closer and more detailed than the other fighters, than the other judges, that it'll make an independent call or override other judges. The first thing that judges are looking for is contact. Contact with the striking surface of the weapon against your opponent. Obviously, strikes, thrusts, and then pommel strikes to the mask only are counted as good hits. A judge should call any hit with one of those surfaces to the opponent. Something that's questionable, like a flat strike, may also be called contact, but will not earn the next point, which we'll discuss now. The second criteria that judges are looking for is what we call quality. Quality is taking that contact a step further, saying not just, did I touch the opponent with the sword, but did I hit the opponent with authority, with structure, with balance, and poise? So it doesn't mean hard. If I come in good, solid form, that can still earn that point for quality, even if I didn't try to break my opponent in half. With thrusts, the blow should penetrate somewhat deeply, but doesn't need to bend. With a pommel strike, it should hit soundly, but not crush the person's mask or snap their head back necessarily. What you're not going to get the quality point for is if you stumble, if you're off balance when you strike. If you strike a person, say, while backing up and then fall over, you gain the point by showing authority in your strike. You need to strike with about 60 degrees of rotation if you're throwing a cut. You need to hit with the weak part of the blade, which is to say from the middle point to the tip. Any strike made with a strong part of the blade will not be awarded the point for quality. This is most common, Emma over here, this is most common in the case of grappling situations where we come in real tight and I've got Emma like this and I raise the sword and I start hitting her in the side. We see this all the time. We're trying to saw through her right there. This is all with the strong part of the blade. It's no good. If I want that quality point, I need to get the point back and drive it in. The third criteria that judges are looking for is target. Now, target specifically means the head, the neck, and the torso. And the torso is defined as ending at the point of the shoulder, where the crease would be on a t-shirt, not necessarily on most of our fencing jackets. And then here at the bottom of the fencing jacket. If you have a long fencing jacket, such as a gambazin, it will be at the hip crease, right? Which Emma's jacket doesn't have because it's properly lengthed. The fourth criteria that judges are looking for and is also the most subjective, and this is called control, meaning control of the opponent's weapon, not control of oneself or some sort of esoteric mystical control. What this means here is that as I engage my opponent, as I deliver my strike to the opponent, which again must be directed at the head or torso because these are pyramided up, they add to each other. As I make this attack, I need to somehow prevent Emma from being able to strike back at the same moment. The most common way we're going to see this is through attacks done from a bind on a sword, or perhaps a grapple leading to attack, or a set of attacks such as pressing the hands, a kick to the stomach, a turn of the elbow to show the back. It has to be something active and intentional on my part. If Emma stumbles, trips, falls, rolls over, drops her weapon, and I didn't take it, cause her to trip or stumble, or knock her over, it doesn't count as control. Here are some specific examples of control. Come into a bind. The first and most obvious would be your basic German windings. From the sword, push a little bit harder, along the various angles. And this is in these situations here, come back into that winding. As I come in here to drive that, if Emma pushes her blade towards me, towards me, right? She can't hit me. She's unable to return the attack in this moment, and I hit her with the point. That's a point for control. Along those same lines, if we were to come here into a bind, I were to move forward, push her elbow to show her back, and then strike her here in the back, control. If we come into this situation here, I come over the top, take her weapon from her, and strike her, control. We come up here, we raise our arms up. I kick her in the stomach like Eric Wiggins. She flails back with her sword going aside, and I hit her in the head or torso. Control. There is a more complete list in the rules. Pick up the rules, page 13. There's an entire list of standard techniques which earn the control point. It's not exhaustive. There's other ways that they can be earned based on those essential guidelines, but that list is a pretty good start and should provide most fighters with the things that they need. Yes, it's mostly in German. Now, these 4 criteria, it's important to note that it's a pyramid, that they're gated. You can't get quality if you haven't had contact. You can't get target if you haven't had quality. You can't get control if you haven't had target. That means that a control hit to the arm or to the leg does not count as a control hit. It means that a sloppy hit to the head does not get the target points. So these have to come one after the other. It's also worth noting that the quality points should be relatively easy to get. If you strike with balance, don't fall over, exercise authority in the strike, have good depth and placement on your weapon, if it's a good hit, you'll get quality. Control, on the other hand, is fairly subjective, and you really need to demonstrate to the judges that you've done something special, something clever. It's totally arbitrary. It's based on the techniques that we want to see and could change in future years for what we're looking for. In previous years, we've used flags. This year, we're going to use a baton, but the judges' semaphores can be shown with bare hands, a baton, or a flag. They're very flexible. And the way the judges call each point works like this. If the judge isn't sure what happened, or saw nothing, if the judge saw contact but no quality, if the judge saw contact and quality, they hold the baton to the side or their hand to the side, and then they touch the area where they believe the strike landed. This also shows target. So, contact plus quality without target would look like this. Here, 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 and so on. Contact, quality, and target would be here. Here, here, and so on. The judges don't need to touch the exact location, but should touch fairly close to where they believe the hit landed. The 4th, for control, they hold the baton straight up in the air and grab their own wrist like this. To prevent it from being confused with this, the hands must be fully above the head. This is control, and it assumes that contact, quality, and target have already been achieved. It is worth 7 points. Special consideration calls. Double without defense. Take the baton, point at the edge of the ring where a person left the ring, and then verbally say, out of bounds on red, out of bounds on blue. In the case of a takedown or a throw, point the baton towards the location where the throw happened, throw by red, throw by blue. One of the changes that I want to underline, because people ask a lot, has to do with pommel strikes. Emma, come here. All right. If I'm fencing Emma, and Emma has dropped her weapon or goes and gets it.
Let's start again.
Okay, let's start again. Okay. All right. Okay. One of the techniques that we're frequently asked about regarding control is pommel strikes to the mask. Now, if I'm fencing Emma and I just pop her in the face, that's a strike like any other, and I should be able to earn target, quality and target for that. However, if I've got her arms wrapped up, forward, here, for example, I've got control of her weapon, she cannot retaliate, and I begin bashing the pommel into her head over and over again, or even once, frankly, strongly. If I earn quality, if I've earned target, that is also control. And so yes, you can get a full 7 points for pommel striking somebody in the mask, assuming you have their arms wrapped up. Okay, special scoring considerations. Clean takedown and a throw. Previous years there were different point values. This is how it works now. If you take the opponent down, or if the opponent takes you down, and you immediately reverse, whatever the case, whoever is in the dominant position at the end of that takedown, that person will get 4 points. In the case of a throw, if I throw my opponent and I remain standing, I automatically get 4 points. If I throw the opponent on the ground, remain standing, have my weapon in hand, and demonstrate to the judges that I could have hit him, don't hit him, but that I could have hit him, that's a control point just like any other. If the opponent is unable to retaliate, you'll get the full 7 points for that. Now, out of bounds. If you go out of bounds with both feet completely, meaning no part of your feet are inside of the ring, that will be 3 points to your opponent. If you have even one toe inside the ring, you're still inside the ring. I want to talk about kicks and strikes real fast. Okay, open hand, no metal gauntlet. to the face, I can hit, pop, shove, check, right? No closed fist at all. If you're wearing a metal gauntlet, you cannot do this, okay? Kicks, I can do a straight stomp style kick from the bottom of the jacket to the shoulders, this box here in the center. Wiggins kick, Sparta kick, Talhaffer kick, right? Boom, that's okay, right? Kick to the jimmy, not okay. I don't care about gender, don't do it, all right? Side kick, back kick, roundhouse kick, flipping back axe kick, no, all right? Stomp kick. Okay, now, what's other stuff you cannot do, all right? You cannot Mortschlag your opponent, all right? You cannot throw your weapon in any way at your opponent. You can't throw your shoe, you can't throw your mask, you can't throw anything, right? Keep it all here, okay? You cannot strike your opponent in the back of the head, especially near the base of the neck. This is all off limits, right? Back of the head, back of the neck, spine, groin, all off limits, okay? Edge of the mask, okay, all right? Not back of the head. Okay, talk about what we're talking about again?
Tournament process changes.
Tournament process changes. Okay, tournament process. Okay, so here's some stuff that's changed. All right, from the process point of view. Used to be back in the day, you had this like 7-point or 11-point, like one shot, one kill, kaboom! It's gone. All right. Now it works like this. Matches are for 90 seconds in the pools. Not when we call halt. When we call halt, the clock stops. When we call fight, it goes again. All right. 90 seconds of fighting. As many points as you can earn. The guy with the most points wins. If you are 14 points ahead of your opponent, mercy kill. Match is over, you win. Now what about progression? How do you get out of the pools into the eliminations? It works like this. The winner of every pool will go forward automatically. After that, it's all based on indicator scores for the other folks to go into the elimination rounds. And the indicator scores work like this. The total number of points that you've earned throughout the course of your pool, divided by the total number of judged hits. That means that if you hit another guy at the same time and your score was reduced by his score, either to 0 or perhaps just less, it's that number, it's reduced. So you don't want to get double hits because that reduces your indicator scores. So total number of hits, total number of points divided by total number of judged hits plus your number of wins equals your indicator score going forward. In the event that you're in a pool that has fewer people than other pools, your total wins will be normalized so that you're not at a disadvantage from this metric. The idea here is that in a system like the Longpoint rules, where quality of hit is carefully judged and a better hit can earn up to 7 points, that's up to 6 points more than a crappy hit, right? In those situations, we want to push the fencers forward who are providing the most high quality hits and getting the fewest numbers of doubles and afterblows, and this system ensures that.
Start whatever you want.
Okay. All right. One of the changes that I want to underline, because people ask a lot, has to do with pommel strikes. Emma, come here. All right. If I'm fencing Emma, and Emma has dropped her weapon or goes and gets it.
Let's start again.
Okay, let's start again.
Okay.
All right. The most obvious would be simply a strike or a thrust, but also a pommel strike, or that's it.
Cut it.
Give me your heme on my knees!